in an hour, and the world champion will need to be interviewed for all sorts of different media before that. He has answered plenty of the questions already at the press conference, so he has now the time to celebrate, even though he doesn't know yet how. For the next 2 or 3 years, he might celebrate.
Yeah, that's what he said. Well, probably they have a party for him, the Norwegians. That's what was happening last time also. But again, he didn't stop himself being very honest in the press conference in many ways.
Which comment did it catch your eye and ear, Judith?
He didn't respect it too much, Kasparov's and Kramnik's comments, right? And, well, I believe that we all have the right to express our views without being criticized in that way. But I think he can handle that, and he has his own point. And, well, he has a very strong feeling about himself, how he can win the match. And actually this was the strongest part of his career, I think, all the time, since he's really little, being a kid, that he was so much focused in winning and having the victory. This was dominating his all the way his life, I think. And it seemed like that he was not open about it, and maybe even he didn't know how much he wants to go on to the playoff. And anyway, 12 games in a classical game, I'm pretty sure that he didn't have the idea to go 6-6 and go for the playoff. But on the other hand, it was always a backup plan, kind of that. And during the match, up to game 10, I think he didn't have that. But then he said, okay, let's forget about it and go for the win. And then he just he switched his mindset so much that it was so strong that even with the chances he got in game 12, he was just not interested. And it is very interesting that he has such a strong feeling, and he decided this way so much. I'm pretty sure that if we would ask the team of Magnus, they might have also mixed feelings that, oh my God, was it a good day? I would have been playing too, right? But he has sometimes such a straight, clear feelings about himself. What is the best road to victory? And yeah, it was not a nice decision. I mean, I'm pretty sure he admits that it was not an elegant way of doing it. But on the other hand, let's face it, this is sport. And we are here for the sport purpose of the game. And he knew one thing, he wants to win, nothing else. If it's ugly, if it's whatever, right? Why? Would it be nicer if a different color bishop endgame would be a huge blunder, mate in one, or blundering a piece? It wouldn't be tasty so much either, right? So he saw after game 10 that he cannot win the match in classical way. He knew that it's going to be tough. Maybe he was not aware of it, that it's going to be so tough. But so it is very respected, the way that he can handle his thoughts and his ideas and represent it. And it was very interesting to see him saying that, well, he thinks it just was the right decision, and he doesn't think he should be thinking differently. I think really his mindset was so different from everybody else in the professional field that, yeah, it's a fact that we cannot imagine ourselves that if you get a chance, a present kind of thing, that you don't want to take the opportunity. But it seemed that he was not even hesitant about it. I mean, he offered a draw move 31. If there is no rule that in the first 30 moves you cannot offer a draw, probably he would offer a draw at move 18.
Earlier, indeed, when he was already better. He said that he basically had the idea that the moment he has a better position, he will offer a draw.
Yeah. So if he has this mindset, which is not necessarily so logical from other people's point of view, if he really had this idea to do so, then it's understandable that he did, even though, yeah, if things have been gone differently today, maybe he would have regretted it. But actually he was so sure of himself that what he was doing, it's the given the most chance to him. That very interesting journey of the last few days in this World Championship match.
And the dominance that he showed today basically proved that his decision was right. Interesting when he was asked what if it didn't turn out so well in the rapid? What if you lost today? Would you have regretted offering the draw? And yeah, that's not an easy question to answer. But that's an if, and ifs are not happening in life. Magnus Carlsen is the world champion. He has defended his title, and he will be joining us shortly here in the studio.
Yeah, we are hoping to see the world champion in the studio, and we do hope that he will show up and he'll share his views just to us, answering a few questions before the World Championship closing ceremony, award giving, which is going to be probably quite a special moment for him too, as he's defended his title for the third time, which is quite amazing. And I think in just seconds we are going to have him in the show. Just technicalities has to be sorted out. And so it was something extremely interesting, what was going on today, and to see actually how Fabiano collapsed in today's pressure. He couldn't stand it, he couldn't deal with it, and actually I think we're just going to have the world champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, the world chess champion, Magnus Carlsen.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Magnus Carlsen has defended his title for the third time in a row, and he's the 16th world champion, at least for 2 more years. Congratulations, Magnus. It's great to see you in person. We have been looking at you for 3 weeks through the cameras, and we have just a few more questions to add, since you have been basically answering most of the questions at the press conference already. Can you please highlight some of the critical moments that you thought were the critical parts during the classical games, from game 1 to game 12?
There were some games that were kind of boring, but also a lot of games that could have gone either way. I did have the feeling that I'd missed a big chance in round 1. I did at some point have the feeling that I might not get such a chance again, and I didn't. And then, I mean, fortunately I didn't realize quite how bad my position was in game 8. If I'd realized that, maybe I'd been more worried. I just thought it was very dangerous and I had to hold on for a dear life. But I didn't necessarily think that was just lost. So, I mean, there were many critical points. Obviously, game 6 was extremely tough as well. And after game 1, I really didn't feel like any point that I was very close to winning a game. So, and thus also, I didn't feel like I was close to winning the match. So it was very, very tough.
Speaking of game 1, how difficult was it for you to forget about that game? And was it sometimes in the back of your mind?
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking that this might be the one chance that I'd missed. And I think if I'd won that one, would have had a very different match. But I knew that, especially with the approach that he had, which was, at least at the start, pretty safe, then I knew that I wouldn't have too many such opportunities. So it was, I did feel like that could be important.
You have thanked your team at the press conference. Would you like to mention some of the names, or is it still a secret who has worked for you, actually?
No, it's a lot of the same people as before, and I'm extremely grateful to them. And I haven't been able to speak with them so far, unfortunately, but I think they deserve a good long holiday now.
What about you? Are you planning to have some rest after this, or what plans do you have?
I don't know. I think at a World Championship you don't really plan too much ahead. I mean, frankly, Peter told me a couple of days ago he cannot even remember
Fabiano is the strongest opponent for him. He was the biggest challenge. Clearly, that's how he feels. That's his communication. This is what was going on in the last half year. What do you think? Which was the turning point of the match when you thought that he knows it, that it was very tough? And I think he just said it. How did you feel game 10? Because that was the most chaotic from my understanding.
Yeah, game 10 was huge. I forgot to mention that earlier. I didn't necessarily feel that I was losing at any point, but it was just so complicated, and I could barely keep my nerve during that game. And yeah, I mean, obviously, before that game, having 2 blacks and the last 3 games, and before game 12, I was tense, knowing that I had to hold 1 black game to get to a possible tiebreak. So I mean, there were many different moments right there.
When was the moment that you decided that you don't want to play really the last 2 games and you want to go for the playoff?
I kind of wanted to play in the 11th game. I was surprised in the opening, and then I didn't really feel like playing a complicated position where I was not in prep, and I just decided to play it very safe and try and hold the 12th game. And during the 12th game, I was happy with the way it was developing, but I was not particularly thinking at any point that I was going to win the game. I just wanted to be safe and reach today.
It's the second time that you had to play a playoff at the World Championship match. Can you tell us, how do you spend your time between the last classical game and the Rapid in order to switch to the format? It's a shorter time control. And what is it that takes to play well in Rapid?
I played some training games, some blitz games, because I mean the thing that you need for Rapid is speed, obviously. The first portion of the game is rather close to classical, but then becomes more of rapid chess. I think both here in New York, especially in New York, it was such relief to get to the playoffs since I'd been down, but also here I felt that once I get there, I'm not that worried. So I was just trying to follow my routine and be as fresh for today as possible.
Do you have any tips to give to Fabiano, what he could have done better?
No, I clearly had some chance that he could have taken, but I feel like he played very well, and he's an extremely strong player and worthy opponent for sure.
What do you think about game 1 in the playoff? How was the opening round when you played Bishop F1? Before Black played Knight E8. Do you think White is better already, or how did you feel during the game?
I felt that I might be a bit better, but I don't know. There was not so much time for evaluation. I just tried to play well, but I feel like I didn't necessarily play so accurately in the early middle game.
At the point where you were thinking like 8 minutes or so when you were deciding to take Bishop E6 or Rook D4, what you had in mind, that you have to win this game already, or you were not sure?
No, I didn't particularly think about the result. I just tried to figure out what would give me the best winning chances. And in the end, I realized that neither of them would give very good winning chances. Now I've been told later that King H1 is very strong there, and it's a pity that I didn't find that. But yeah, during the game I was just trying to decide, and that's often when the time is spent during the game, when you have 2 opportunities that look more or less equal, and it's not clear what you can get from either of them. And after that, I felt that the position should be drawn, but I would have practical chances.
What was your plan on Knight E5 instead of King E7? That was, I was wondering.
Yeah, I was going to take and play Rook E3.
King D8?
And F4.
F4, King E7.
Yeah, and
Bishop, which
Bishop
way?
H3 and hope for the best, or Bishop C8, I don't know. I thought that I was doing well there.
You're turning 28 in just 2 days, and the bio on Play Magnus will say, for Magnus 28, world champion Magnus Carlsen. Do you know how the avatar will look like?
I don't know. I'm just so happy that it says world champion still.
Congratulations on that once again. We have seen some really nice clips by Play Magnus on your preparation that included the 3 Ps. Can you just remind our audience, do you remember the 3 Ps that were crucial for your World Championship preparation?
I don't know. I don't watch my own videos.
I believe it was pizza, Premier League, and poker. Are those the 3 crucial elements for a chess training camp?
No.
What about the post-World Championship match? We have asked you already, but you have no idea about the celebration, how long you will take, and if you will play the World Rapid and Blitz, that could be your next event, maybe.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna play there. I feel eager to play more, and the match shows that my classical game isn't too great at the moment. At least in the terms that it's not better than Fabiano's. So clearly, I have things to work on, and I'm looking forward to playing the next year. Hopefully I can play a bit more freely now that I know that even if I may not have the world #1 spot, at least I have the World Championship.
Well, we think that you will work to keep both the title and the world #1 spot. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the world champion, Magnus Carlsen.
Congratulations.
A reminder to our on-site and online audience that we are going to broadcast the award-giving ceremony, and it begins in an hour. So come back in an hour. 8 p.m. actually, so it's earlier than an hour. In about 40 minutes, the award ceremony begins. Come back for the award ceremony and see how we celebrate Magnus Carlsen, the 16th world champion, defending his title for the 3rd time here in London.